Hello, everyone. Welcome back to ListenABLE 2022.
We're back, baby.
We are. We're back a little later, Feb 7, because, a decent reason. A fair run at the Australian Open for you, Mr. Dylan Alcott.
Yeah, it was good. It was a massive couple of weeks. Obviously retired. Didn't get the chocolates in the last match, but was pretty stoked to win Australian of the Year, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
As you can tell by my voice, it's only a couple of days after and I'm still rinsed. But, you know me, wouldn't have it any other way. And it was the response has been pretty bloody beautiful, I must say.
So we've also had another big change. It might sound different. It's certainly going to look different, this podcast episode, because we have moved independently, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we obviously had an amazing start in the last couple of years with ListenABLE, really proud of it, but we've decided to go out on our own and do our own thing. Well, Angus, you're the boss actually. I work for you now.
You're an employee.
I'm an employee of you. So give us the rundown of what's going on.
Yeah, so ListenABLE became... Oh, it's me. That's my...
I think can we leave this in because this is not a great start. Talk about professionalism. That is definitely...
That didn't happen in the last place.
No, that didn't happen. That's great stuff.
So ListenABLE became, especially in the past 12 months, a fair bit of a beast to run, by myself, essentially. I mean, we do the podcast together and it's our idea creatively. We own 50-50 of it, but, from the social side of things, the organisation side of things, the editing, the video, the subtitles, the captioning, all of that stuff, it was just a lot.
Yeah,
and
I was gallivanting around the world, as it's
right.
pretty easy to see.
Yep. And so I took on that responsibility and I really enjoyed it, but it needed my full-time attention. So we both left our radio jobs and this is me now. So I started a company called From Your Pocket. It's going to be Australia's first and only fully accessible podcast company or entertainment company. And, I've got another podcast that we launched called Gotsom, which is a wine podcast. Once again, that lives online with full captions, so nobody misses out on that conversation.
Cool.
And, because podcasts are traditionally audio form, right? And people just think that only lives in your ears when really that conversation should be for everyone. And that's what I've learned from this podcast. And I wanted to make an inclusive podcast company. And here we are, putting our episodes up online as well with captions. And so no one misses out on the conversation. And so that's what I'm doing. ListenABLE is, the reason I can do that. And thank you to everyone who listens. But, it's about expanding and letting other people's stories be heard.
Congrats. So do I have to put in like a timesheet or...
Yeah. You just put in a timesheet, that'd be fine.
Okay, yeah.
I'll get around to paying that invoice eventually.
I thought I'd quit radio to get away from bosses. Now I've just walked into another
now you made your boss.
situation. Jesus.
So I have to surprise you with something.
Hit me.
The first episode, you're unaware of who our guest is. Any ideas?
David Wagner.
Which is my favourite wheelchair tennis player of all time. Our first guest for 2022 under the From Your Pocket label is Dylan Alcott.
Oh, myself?
Yourself.
Oh, I'm back.
For one, when organising people, and I've organised, guests for the next few weeks, it's been 2 years exactly since we had our conversation and both of our lives have changed, yours dramatically, and you've had so much success and so many stories over the past 2 years that I thought we would catch up. You were our first episode.
Now
you're our 51st episode.
That's good.
And I think it should be, your life moves so quickly. Looking back as I watched our first ever episode, you're a totally different person. And so I think it's really nice to look back on that. And I've also got not only have I got your past questions and answers, I want to see the difference between the two and I'll play them back to you.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's just catch up first. Obviously, we've got a lot to catch up on. Australian Open, Australian of the Year. Let's go with the Oz Open. Were you nervous about ending your career in general?
No, I was definitely ready. And I still feel like I'm ready. I'm a bit bummed that I didn't get the job done and win it, but I knew it was going to be a hectic week. So just for context, I played my first round against probably one of my biggest competitors, the young kid Niels, who's a legend. It was a 3-hour battle on the Sunday in the heat and then played the semi-final of the singles on Tuesday. Was lucky enough to get the win there in like 35-degree heat. And then unfortunately, in timing-wise, but it was still a massive honour, was to be nominated for Australian of the Year. And that was up in Canberra when it was announced. Now, we were trying to find out if I was going to win or not, because if I wasn't going to win, or even if I was going to win, I just needed to know so I could make a decision if I needed to go to Canberra or not. And rightfully so, they didn't tell us. So we had no idea about what was happening. They're like, look, we just can't legally tell you. That's fair enough because you couldn't have any problem with leaking or whatever. So we made the decision to go regardless.
Took a risk.
Yeah, well, if I was to win it and I was on Zoom in my bedroom without any pants on doing an interview, I probably don't think it would have given it justice of what it meant, not only to me, but hopefully to the disabled community. And I thought, I'm going to take the risk and go. And I was rinsed. Like, I can't tell you how wrecked I was.
Full day of tennis in the sun.
I was cramping in the plane when I got there. But to my surprise, very much my surprise, I bloody won, which is incredible. I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. I was born with a tumour wrapped around my spinal cord that was cut out when I was only a couple of days old. And I've known nothing but having a disability. And if I'm honest with you, I cannot tell you how much I used to hate myself. I used to hate having a disability. I hated it so much. I hated being different. And, I didn't want to be here anymore. I really didn't. And whenever I turned on the TV or the radio or the newspaper, I never saw anybody like me. And whenever I did, it was a road safety ad where someone drink drives, has a car accident, and what's the next scene? Someone like me in tears because their life was over. And I thought to myself, that's not my life. But I believed that was going to be my life. And I'm so lucky that I had one of the best family and some of the best friends and my beautiful partner, Chantel, and my whole team who told me that I was worthy and that I was allowed to be loved. And, when I reached the end of my teenage years, I started seeing people like me. I also stand on the shoulders of giants. Not literally. Still can't stand. But Paralympic athletes like Louise Savage, Kurt Fernley, Danny DeToro, people that are the reason that I got into sport, advocates like Stella Young, they paved the way so I can be here tonight. They should have been Australian of the Year as well. And I'm honestly so honoured to be up here, and it's because of them and everybody in my life that I sit here as a proud man with a disability tonight. I love my disability. It is the best thing that ever happened to me. It really is. And I'm so thankful for the life that I get to live. And I get sent stem cell research and all this stuff. And you can honestly not pay me enough money in the whole world to ever do it. Because I love the person that I am and the life that I get to live. And I'm the luckiest guy in this country, easily. But I know for the 4.5 million people in this country, 1 in 5 people that have a physical or non-physical disability, they don't feel the same way that I do. And it's not their fault. But it's up to all of us to do things so they can get out and be proud of their disability as well and be the people that they want to be. We've got to fund the NDIS first and foremost and listen to people with lived experience and ask them what they need so they can get out and start living the lives that they want to live. And remind ourselves that it is an investment in people with disabilities so they can get off pensions and start paying taxes, just like their carers and their family members as well. As we start opening up from this pandemic, which is awesome, we got to think about and prioritise people with disability, some of the most vulnerable people in our community. We got to get them the vaccines and the tests and whatever else they need so they can get out there and start living their life. If a person with a disability needs a free daily rat test so they feel confident going out and doing things that we all might take for granted, they've got to get that rat test. We've got to keep improving more employment opportunities for people with a disability as well. Of those 4.5 million people, only 54% of them are involved in the workforce. Unemployment rate is double that of able-bodied people. Both figures haven't moved in 30 years. And guess what? We're not just ready to work, we're ready to take your jobs, all right? We are coming. We are coming. But we've got to get those opportunities. And lastly, we have to have greater representation of people with a disability absolutely everywhere. In our boardrooms, in our parliaments, in our mainstream schools, on our dating apps, on our sporting fields, in our universities, absolutely everywhere. So we get the opportunity to start living our lives just like everybody else. And I promise you, you won't just enrich the lives of us, but also yourselves in the process. And before I go, I just want to leave you with this. One of the number one questions I get asked by people is, Dill, mate, what is your advice to a young person with a disability or anyone with a disability so they can start living their life? And my advice is this. You don't need my advice. You know what to do. And you've had people telling you what to do your whole life. But my advice is to you, non-disabled people. It's time for you to challenge your unconscious biases, leave your negative perceptions at the door, and lift your expectation of what you think people with disability can do. Because it's always more than you think. Now, unfortunately, I heard the Australian of the Year after party is one of the best after parties ever. But unfortunately, I've got an Australian Open to try and win in about 36 hours. I really hope I make you proud out there. But winning Grand Slams and gold medals isn't my purpose. It's like the 30th priority of my life. My purpose is changing perceptions so people with disability, people like me, can get out there and live the lives that they deserve to live. It was my purpose yesterday, it's my purpose today, and it will be my purpose as your Australian of the Year for the next 12 months and beyond. And I really hope I make every single one of you proud. Thanks very much. So I decided to go, no regret that I went. But it absolutely, I mean, you saw me on the Wednesday and Thursday, and I was behind closed doors. I was toast. I think I put in a pretty good showing regardless, and obviously deserved to lose on the Thursday. But
Sam played some incredible tennis.
Yeah, he did. He played all. It was a combination of him playing awesome and me not playing my best. Hence why the scoreline was pretty lopsided. And but mate, you were there. It was 10, 12,000 people there. 1.5 million people watched it on TV. They held the news back, which only normally happens when Shane Warne's about to take a hat trick in the cricket or whatever it is. So, you know, it was pretty special. And yeah, I'm still, you know, what are we? We're a week or so after now. I'm still pretty bummed about it. But you know what? The difference between 7 and Australian Opens is probably not too much.
7 and 8,
7 and 8 when you look back in a couple of years. But getting the opportunity to win Australian of the Year and take that opportunity and do that speech is probably more important.
It's once in a lifetime moment as well.
Exactly right.
A week on, you've had a time to reflect on your tennis career. So many highlights, of course, Olympic gold medals, golden slams. Is there something, if you really thought about a moment that encapsulates your tennis career, is there a moment that sticks out?
Look, I think on field was winning gold in Tokyo, especially that semi-final, which went for 3 hours, to be able to find a way to win that with the biggest pressure I've ever been under, and then win the gold, and then the golden slam was probably the best on-court experience. Yeah. But to be honest, it was far outweighed by the sheer, I guess, exposure and normalisation that we've been able to build together. That's what's been probably the most special part. And it was the same at the final as it was every year that I've been lucky enough to play on Rod Laver Arena. The middle row of the accessible seating is in the middle of row of Rod Laver Arena. And there was, no joke, 500 people plus with disabilities there, just getting around and having a great time. And that's what it's all about. And that, you know, to have, not only to give them an opportunity to come watch, but also for me to see that. I think that people don't realise how much that affects me and how happy that makes me. And that I guess providing that greater representation, so not only they can see something that they might be able to be, but also just be able to them to come and have a good time with their mates and watch wheelchair tennis is what it's about, being able to live that normal life. And, you know, you yourself, mate, you work in disability, you see that and you're like, shit, yeah.
Australian of the Year, obviously congratulations, a huge honour, massive, man, huge. I mean, you thought genuinely, like we've had conversations away from microphones where you're like, Paddy Mill's going to win.
Yeah, I haven't put this on my Instagram yet, but he actually just sent me a signed Brooklyn jersey.
Did he? Brooklyn Nets jersey?
And he wrote in his number 8, hey, mate, just really proud of you. Congratulations. Keep doing everything. Because he was obviously nominated. How nice is that?
That's
what
huge.
A legend. Yeah. He's such a good bloke. And everyone that was nominated. I thought I was making up the numbers because so many people in their respective fields could deserve to have won, and to be honest, don't need to win the same way that I didn't need to win to keep doing what they're doing for their respective causes. Mm-hmm. You know, it's obviously lovely, but I don't think winning it I'm still the same bloke as I was the day before, the same as everybody else up there who would keep kicking ass for their respective communities.
You spoke about the chaos, which I don't think people will really be able to comprehend of playing in between.
Oh, yeah.
That was ridiculous.
I think, well, you hear a lot of players talking about recovery is the most important part. I had no recovery, so I couldn't actually get it back. So that's why, I was literally cramping on stage, and the Prime Minister and the Governor General got me a bowl of water because I was cramping. He's like, quick, get some water, because I was like I couldn't do anything. But you know me, I'm a glutton for punishment. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Did you bite off more than you could chew?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, but as I said, I thought, what could I have changed to be able to play better? And the only probably thing would have been, we got home at 2 a.m. from Canberra, from the plane, and then the next morning doing breakfast TV.
Yeah.
That killed me. But again, that was probably the biggest opportunity to spread your message, because more people watch that than the Australian of the Year awards.
Yeah.
Again, you can't regret that. That's what killed me. Getting up early to do that media run was probably the hardest part, retrospectively. But again, if you miss that opportunity, you don't get your chance to do it, fair enough. So, I'm cool with living with that.
Jackie through Facebook wants to know, she said, congratulations, Dylan, with all of your accomplishments of late and over your career. Is there an equivalent of a strut in a wheelchair?
A wheelchair swag push.
Swag push.
I don't know. Did I have a strut after that? Did I?
No, she's just asking, what do you do? Because if someone, struts down, they've got a bit of confidence. I mean, you're living on
I guess you
cloud
just
nine.
swing your arms a bit more and get a bit of a shoulder turn.
Heath Davidson has a strut wheelchair.
Yeah, he's just really shit at pushing his wheelchair.
Oh, right.
He wrestles it.
It's
so
just
it
bad
looks like
technology.
a strut. Yeah.
Right, okay.
No, bad technique.
Technique, yeah. All right, this is really exciting. So our first ever guest on ListenABLE was you. On our 51st episode, it is you again. I have got your answers to these questions lined up. I'm going to play them after to see how the last 24 months, 2 years has changed for you as a person, an athlete. And you ready to do your first question that you ever got asked? Hey, Dylan.
Yes, mate.
Introduce yourself.
G'day, everyone. My name is Dylan Alcott. I'm an Australian wheelchair tennis player, and I'm very lucky to live the best life out of anybody that I've ever met.
Do you want to know how you answered that question 2 years ago?
Hit me. Hi, my name is Dylan Alcott. I'm an Australian tennis player, Paralympian, radio host, TV host,
Author, best-selling
author, and podcaster. There you go.
That's how you answered it.
Well, I've lost my radio job, so that's definitely good to say that.
And also you said wheelchair tennis player. Are you anymore?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. No, I think once you are, somebody asked that the other day. I think Roger Federer will also always be a professional tennis player.
Yeah, makes sense. What frustrates you about able-bodied people?
Look, I don't get too frustrated or too angry, I don't think. And a lot of people want me to get angrier. One thing that breaks my heart is the unconscious bias and the lack of opportunity that people with disability get because able-bodied people make it too complicated. It's actually a lot easier than you think. And, I'm a call in, not a call out kind of guy. And I reckon that might, especially this year as Australian of the Year, a lot of people want to go really hard, and I will go hard about things that I'm passionate about, but I think it's important to work with people to try and change perceptions, and I think the best way to do that is through lived experience, and I would love non-disabled people probably just to listen a little bit more and give people with disability opportunities they deserve.
This is how you answer that. February 2019.
The only one I get frustrated with is when you go to use an elevator and there's 10 people waiting for it who can walk, yet look at you, and most time people let you go first. But there's been a few where they're like, I've been here first, I'm just going to use it. And you're like,
take a ticket.
There is nothing wrong with you, use your legs. However, I wouldn't say I think that you're being lazy. I tell you what I don't get. I don't get envious.
That's a good little end to their question.
Good. Yeah, I don't get envious. / I'm a bit broader thinking these days, aren't I?
You are. Yeah, much more mature 24 months on. How does Dylan Alcott, hang on, you're OAM, it's an Order of Australia medal.
Well, I was OAM, but...
What are you now? Is there a new type? Do you have new...
Yeah, it happened, but it got lost in the Australian of the Year. So it goes OAM and then AM, which is next.
What? What's AM?
A member of the Order of Australia.
Oh.
And I actually skipped that one. And I'm now AO, an officer of Australia.
Forever?
Yeah, so I'm Dylan Alcott AO.
So you're no longer OAM?
No, I've skipped AM and now I'm AO, which is ridiculous. Like the next is AC, the highest one, which is like Rod Laver, I don't know, former prime ministers, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it happened.
Any perks?
Pardon?
Any perks?
No, but a huge honour. Like I'm
Of
30.
course.
What am I? 31. Like what, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm and I obviously love being from Australia. So yeah, I think I'd be getting Sir'd if I was in America, in England. That kind of vibe, I think.
Oh, like knighthood.
It's up there.
Not bad.
I don't want anyone to call me Sir except you.
Okay, no, still not going to happen. Let's find out how, in a second, you answered it. Well, let's find out how, Dylan Alcott AO in February 2022 answers this question. How did sport help define you as a person away from the courts?
I think the best thing sport ever did for me was not actually the competing part, but was the social aspect of it. Meeting people like me, having a shared purpose of getting out of bed and doing something. But I remember I went to a tournament outside of Albury in a place called Thaguna. It was my first tennis tournament, and I saw a bloke driving a car with his hands for the first time. Didn't know you could do that. He was married. Didn't know you could do that. Having a beer, had kids. Didn't know you could do that. And that I'll forever be thankful for that part of it, that I could found my community where I felt like included and gave me something to do and strive towards. But it also, obviously now, gave me the platform to do what I'm most passionate about, which is change perceptions. So, mate, I'm forever grateful for it. Now I'm washed up and retired.
Do you have any idea how you would have answered that question in February 2019?
No, I got no idea. Sport gave me the platform to, I guess, be confident, to have people appreciate what you do. It really means a lot to, put your time and effort into a skill and to be successful and to people care about it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it also, when Roger Federer gets good at tennis, everyone wants to talk about it. No one gave a shit about me playing sport.
Mm-hmm.
The reason they do is because I worked my ass off to make sure that they did. It was super cool now that it happens. But it also, I wouldn't have all this without sport. Yeah. And I could, one day we want to have the best podcast in the world, but everyone will still come up to you and say, mate, Wimbledon, There's something about sport that everyone really gets into.
2 years ago that happened.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we're not going to get up to the Joe Rogan heights of podcasting.
How do you know?
But, those kids, kids are 30, sitting in those seats at that time, it's now shaped my career, this podcast, it's made me move on to a space that I'm more proud of being in my entire career. So it's amazing to see the difference of what 2 years can make for both of us as well, because you wouldn't even, who would have known, could you have presumed that Golden Slam would have happened, No,
definitely. I mean, especially, it's almost 3 years. It started 2019. Isn't it 2022? You keep saying 2 years.
Oh, it's 2 years. 2020 then.
It's 3 years.
It was 2020 then we did this.
Oh, yeah, okay. But yeah, it's also funny how much I was still in the fighting for it stage, trying to show that people with disability are worthy. But now I'm just I couldn't give a shit if you don't think we are or not, because I know we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've just got to mellowed a bit in that sense.
Yeah. What's your proudest moment in sport?
It's still, I think it would have been back then, and still the representation of not only normalising it and putting it in the mainstream, but having to see so many young people with disabilities come watch, how much they care and want to support me, just someone who's like them, is the thing I'm most proud of for sure. Better than the gold medals.
His 2020 version of Dylan Alcott.
Proudest moment in sport would have been probably winning the gold medal in singles in Rio. Oh, what a wanker. So funny. I'm glad you just cut that grab short.
Let's go for
that's how I'll do.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
What a flog. What a flog.
That is so good.
That's so true.
That's so good.
Oh, that's some funny shit. I like that. Yeah, we didn't go mouse because I'm a legend.
Yeah, that's right. What is the proudest moment in your personal life?
I'm very proud of my friends and family and how lucky I am to have them. My partner Chantel, and I got the best mates in the whole world and the best family who helped me become who I am, and especially the turnout from everybody in at the final match the other day was just unbelievable. So, mate, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have them, because without them, I'm still the kid that absolutely hates himself. Whether it is my brother, parents, stepmom, mates, Shanti, past relationships, whether it was Chelsea and Kate, and I've always been very lucky.
Pretty close, Dylan. 2 years ago, this is how you answered that exact question.
Super proud of the work that we do at the Dylan Alcott Foundation. There are a lot of feel-good foundations out there that make people feel better, like Make-A-Wish and all that, which do a great job, Starlight Foundation, but there aren't enough that invest in young people with disabilities to become lawyers, doctors, Paralympians, musicians, there are way too many barriers for entry for young people with disabilities to become the people they want to become, and we're eliminating them for so many kids. And you have a board meeting and you'd leave that board meeting with just a pep in your step. Pardon the pun. I could win a squillion Grand Slams, but if I don't use my platform to change perception of disability, but try and help people that were like me, I really would be a phony, I reckon, and that's what I love doing. So yeah, that's probably the main thing. Oh, sorry, yeah, off work-wise, that's definitely it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see some humility in an answer finally.
Yeah, but that's always been the way since we started. It's like, the gold medals and Grand Slams are great because it gives you the platform to do that, but that gives you more rewarding feeling than actually winning Wimbledon.
The final question, where we're going to reflect back on your 2020 answers in February, 2 years on. Tell me about your relationship 2 years on with Chantel, and literally, I'm sure you're aware, but your anniversary must be
28th of Feb, mate.
There you go. I was going to say very
it's
close.
in your calendar as well.
Yeah.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. She's such a legend, and she's been so supportive of me over the last little while, and it's time for me to give that back to her, and I'm forever grateful for the person that she is. She's such a go-getter and a beautiful person first and foremost, but also like a trailblazer and someone who kicks ass in her own industry, which I absolutely love. And it's been a beautiful 3 years, and looking forward to many, many more years to come.
Yeah. This is how you answered that question. You were only dating at this point for 12 months-ish.
Not even, yeah.
Yeah, so this is how you answered that 2 years ago. And
yeah, I've honestly met the most amazing person, Chantel, she's actually a sexologist, so a doctor of sex. Like, she is trained in this, and she sees a lot of people with disabilities. And the one bit of advice that I give and that she echoes is this: you can have sex in whatever way you can have sex. Whatever normal sex is, who knows?
It doesn't have to be P and V. That's not the...
But it's different to everybody, yeah. So if you have a disability, or if you don't have a disability, but whatever it is you're listening and you're having sexual problems, you can have sex in whatever way you can have sex, whether it's oral sex, nipples, whatever it is, and for people with all kinds of different disabilities, they can have sex, right, in whatever way that they can. And also, if you're able-bodied and listening to this, and you have a crush on someone who is blind, someone in a wheelchair, someone with one leg, someone with Asperger's, go have a crack. Don't be scared.
Probably a really generous lover.
The best.
It makes you a little bit awkward just listening to some of those bits back, right?
Mainly because you said P and V. Are you 14?
No, what was I was 31.
No, I was going to say, so just teenagers started doing that.
It's funny though, because that's our most listened to episode, the episode that you did with Chantel. And I think that's probably our most messaged episode of people going, thank you for finally breaking down barriers around sex. Yes, people have broken barriers down, like yourself in sport and other advocates of disability, and people who want to normalize it. But, not many people were speaking about that until Chantel came on and had that conversation. And that was a huge groundbreaking episode.
And she's a weapon at that. She talks about it in her book as well.